Welcome to Sound Values, powered in part by LSA Burger and Classic of Denton.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in live tonight on DentonRadio.com. We are broadcasting out of the beautiful Discover Denton Welcome Center on the gorgeous spring day, Denton Square right now. We've got a very special guest in tonight from Thin Line Music Festival, folks. We've got Brian Denny in the studio.
How's it going?
Doing good, man, doing good. Now, I hit up Mindy, and I was like, I want to talk some Thin Line music this year. And you guys came in last year, so I said, let's have them back in this year. Just to kind of get a feel for what we've got this year, and then also maybe to kind of pick your brain a little bit more, as I've had a year more experience playing some shows. I took some of the advice that you gave me especially and kind of applied those to my actual career, I guess you could call it, you know. So the first thing that I kind of want to start off asking is, how do you begin? You know, a year ago we talked, but how do you begin to start to prep for what you're going to look for each year at Thin Line?
For me, it starts months and months and months ago, almost immediately after we finished the festival like last time. And it really and truly, it's just kind of it's listening to music and reading about shows that are going on around, not just here locally, but festivals, then up and coming artists, and things all of a sudden like pop up in your periphery, and then going to check them out and see how they are, and like, man, that'd be really, really neat to bring to Denton and to show people. And so you try to work on it, and hopefully it works out and we can bring them to town.
Very cool. What are some of the avenues that you personally take to discover this new type of music, or what do you kind of go to? Some people might say Spotify or YouTube. What do you look for?
Those, absolutely. For me also, I kind of hunt the outer edges of some of the larger festivals that go on throughout the summer and into the fall, and try to see like some of the smaller names that obviously, because we're 100% free festival, but we do well. We have a lot of acts come in, but we don't have all the money in the world at all. Yeah. So to try to find some of those acts that are unique and on the way up to being able to go play some of these bigger places, we try to find them to bring them and showcase. So I'd still read Pitchfork, and I'd check out and see what's happening on Brooklyn Vegan, Austin Show, like all of those kind of old go-tos.
What is Brooklyn Vegan? I've never heard of that one.
It's another website where it is like a show listing of shows that are going on in the New York area.
Very cool.
We've had, Denton's always kind of been one of those places where you have people, when they finish up school or whatnot, they'll move to Portland, they'll move to Austin, they'll move to New York, and there's a lot of transplants that are up there that still play music. And so just kind of strangely, I had a friend that was a contributing writer for Brooklyn Vegan for a while, and I just started following. I was like, oh, I know this person, and this person's also playing on a show. They're like, oh, that's neat, they're playing at this venue. I have no idea what that venue is. And so just through crazy curiosity, it went down a different rabbit hole. Kept going.
And you're so right about like people moving all over the place. I mean, Horace Bray is going to be coming to town and playing at Dan Silverleaf with Honan and Leon Carlo.
Oh, he's one of our Thin Line artists.
Yeah, he's amazing, and he's a guy who moved to Brooklyn, New York. But he comes back down here, and I love anytime he's playing. The first time I saw him was up at Pascal's, and I was like, this guy's fingers haven't stopped moving on this classical guitar. This is something else.
Absolutely.
So, an incredible artist. And then with all the other groups that he was a part of, I was like, this guy's top notch. So I was excited to see him on that list. Now,
and then also, and secondarily, I also have to mention that, once we go out and find them, then I also have an incredible crew that works with me booking, with Dallas Quill and Isabel Denise. So the three of us get together and we compile our list and then throw it out and like see what sticks to the wall, and then we go out and try to get them.
And that's the great thing about Dallas that I love about that guy is like I never realized of what like a music aficionado, because for so long he was just the guy I got my sandwiches from down the street. And he always made a killer sandwich. Him and the other guys who were in there when Weinberger's was around down there.
Charlie and the crew,
yeah, Charlie and them. I remember Charlie was like, "Oh, I'm vegan, vegetarian, but I'll make you one of the best, steak sandwiches you'll have. I was like, all right, man, I'm always about it. But that's what's so great when you have those good crews behind you. And Dallas has been a big supporter of mine, just as a friend and as a booker, and all those people just kind of helping me connect with different people. Now, as an artist, one thing that I always kind of go back and edit is my responses to those emails, or how to respond to those emails. So when someone sends an artist a message saying, hey, would you be interested in playing this? Usually it comes with the time slot, the pay that's involved, and the venue, of course. What are kind of like the ways that you like to see people respond to those, the things that you look for in those response emails?
It's a good question. One of the things, like that I mentioned earlier, is that we like to be able to pay all the artists. Mm-hmm. Every artist that we have that performs at Thin Line absolutely gets compensated. So it's a strange thing for especially brand new artists to be able to necessarily quantify what their performance worth is.
Yeah.
So jazz performers are going to have a very different scale, as country performers are definitely going to have a very different scale than a punk rock artist. So really and truly, it's kind of up to the band right when they start out to kind of figure out exactly what they need to get themselves to the show and kind of squared away and whatnot. And then once you start to develop to where you're drawing people and bringing people in to where it's reflective in the venues that you're playing, and not just the frequency that they want to book you, but your popularity, your hits, and social, and all Spotify, everything, and that included. Then you start to realize that we're doing okay. We can ask for a little bit of money, and as an artist, like, you don't ever be afraid to ask for the money. The worst thing that's ever going to happen is someone's going to tell you no.
Yeah.
So there's so many avenues for new artists to that get really, really intimidated by the situations that they're in and don't want to do that because they don't want to mess up and say, well, maybe I'll never get booked again or something like that. Problem is that if you're good, talent buyers will find you, and they'll want to showcase you and put you out so people can see you and people can be exposed to the art that you have.
Mm-hmm. That was something that I was talking to a kid the other day. He was asking, I'm 31, so I'm a little bit older, even in the kind of the beat scene, that I'm a part of. He's like, how do you get shows? How do you do this? And I was like, what I first started doing was just playing house shows. And people started coming to see those house shows. And then I approached a venue. I noticed, hey, this venue does open mic nights. Well, they're probably open to maybe a Wednesday night of me booking 3 DJs down here. We'll do it for free the first time. Hopefully we have a good draw. And then after about 2 or 3 of those, if I can go to the booking guy or whoever runs that place and go, hey, these are doing pretty good. Do you think maybe if we developed a budget, we could probably bring more people in? Because then we could put money towards the advertising.
Absolutely.
We could get some other acts in that might bring more people in. So that was always kind of like when certain people have asked me about that. But when I started, man, it was always, I was so nervous, like you're saying, with those emails and the pay and stuff, like, ooh, okay, or like when people ask you how much, I've gotten comfortable with it now, but like you're saying, when it first starts, I was just kind of like, I don't want to mess this up because I don't want to not get booked again because maybe I, said the wrong thing or asked for too much or, and so like you're saying, those social media hits, but also bringing those people to the venue too.
And don't misunderstand me. There's also a lot of work that happens before the show even happens. I mean, you have to work your art. I mean, you have to practice. You can't just all of a sudden put up a page and expect to pack in 250 people or more. Like, it does not work that way.
And I've said that before too. I'm like, guys, I've got 800 plus on Instagram. I've got 700 plus on SoundCloud. I've just started my Spotify, so I'm working on that one. I got like 40 monthly followers, which is sweet. I'm happy with 40 people. And then 700 plus on Facebook, and it's not a lot. It's not a lot, but I'm one person, so it kind of makes that bit of a difference. But the one thing that I tell kids too is like, hey man, you've got 700 followers on this, but don't expect you're not even going to even see 10% of that probably when you first start. You're not going to see 70 people, 60, 50. When I played at Trees recently, I started at 8, and at 8 o'clock when I started, there were 10 people there, but those 10 people were there specifically to see me.
Yeah.
You know? And so that was one thing that I was glad. I was like, oh, these people are all right here, and then by 8:15 there's more, and then by 8:30 there's more. You know, so those opening slots can be a little nerve-wracking, you know, but
absolutely.
You work through them, and they're a great way to you know, get those wheels greased and get going.
Paying dues, man.
Yeah. So you're saying there's all these other things, you know, not just from the band that the bands have to do or the artists that you're booking, but there's a lot of other things that y'all have to do well besides just finding the talent. Then you've got to find a place for the talent to play.
Absolutely.
So how do you go about getting in contact or getting involved with different venues in the area and seeing how venues fluctuate in Denton year to year or time to time?
Well, I'm lucky in the fact that I've been in Denton and in the business and service industry for a long time. I was a head talent buyer at Rubber Gloves for many years, and back then when we had, I'd say probably the fullest volume of music venues in town, we were all friends, and a lot of us are all still around. And so when I started booking music for Thin Line, it really wasn't that easy or wasn't that hard to get everybody on the same page. You also had 35 Denton was still going. At the time we were doing Thin Line music or Thin Line Festival in February. And so there wasn't necessarily cross-pollination or stepping on people's toes. And, you know, a lot of people that worked at 35 would come over and volunteer and help us out at Thin Line. So everybody was like, once the season would start, everybody, venue owners and their representatives were all kind of ready for it to kick off and get going. So that part really wasn't that hard to organize. It was just kind of conversations and getting everybody like on the same page of what our ideas and what we want to try to do. First one's always a little bit weird, but once everybody sees it and everybody kind of rolls around. So
yeah,
it's good.
That first time you're pitching that idea,
Oh, yeah.
people are like, I don't really know. I mean, even when we did our thing at Armadillo, you know, we were doing a live broadcast from inside the brewery.
Yeah.
Will was like, I don't really know what you're talking. And then I kind of talked to him and I showed him. I was like, hey, here's what I want to do. Here's my idea. And, you know, then when he saw it, he was like, oh, he goes, anytime you ever want to do this,
Oh, yeah.
like, please let me know. You know, and then that video got like 2,400 views on us. So that was great. I was, you know, and it was
People like beer.
yeah, people like beer and people liked the music, and you know, it was cool. They were doing a tour and they
Yeah.
came around. This guy's just in the middle of all that equipment, just playing some music. So it was cool and just trying to do a little bit of something that's different. But you know, like you're saying, it's you know. It's always like the guys who make it look easy have worked very, very long at it, you know, and it's about maintaining a good rapport amongst
Absolutely.
people. So how do you go about, what do you recommend as far as, you know, maintaining a good rapport with people? So when people do see the name, they're going, no, don't work with that guy. They're saying, no, I want to work with that guy.
Well, making sure that the product that you put out there to the town, you know, not to necessarily call the art and musicians the product, but at the same time, you're convincing business owners and the venues around town to be a part of it and to open up themselves and their businesses to whatever you're going to plan for the night. And so making sure that all of your volunteers and your crew act professionally, and then make sure that what I do and what Dallas and Isabel does in the planning of this whole thing is executed to the best way that we can. And secondarily to that is making sure that the music that we bring is likable from all different genres, and people get something that they want. So.
I mean, I remember last year, one of my favorite gigs I saw was the one that Isabel was so excited about, was the mariachi group that came out. Though, and I remember I was at Harvest House, and I think they came out, it seemed, for just like a 15-minute sound check or something, and then, but I stayed obviously and waited, and I was like, you know, when they were done, it was awesome, man. That was such a great set. And,
It really was.
And I think I was there probably for like 4 hours that day, because I was hanging out with a bunch of the jazz guys, because I can't remember the guys there was a guy on a xylophone playing. That was a great group. And then I think Body English played. And then maybe after Body English was the mariachi band. But, you know, like I've lived up here for, I think it's almost been 5 years now. And I've always enjoyed like the Thin Line and, you know, any of the festivals that have come and gone and Thin Line stuck around. I love that time of year. You know,
Yes, absolutely.
It's a great time, man. Now, one other kind of question I have for you is, when somebody wants to start booking, okay, let's say like you're an artist, you know, but you've manage to like meet people, you get to know people, and then let's say you meet somebody, you're like, oh, I would like to book this person, I'd like to book this person, but you're having trouble with budgets or things of that nature. How did you recommend approaching or even finding a budget in a way to get someone to a venue? You know, it's a mystery to me at sometimes how certain budgets are reached, how they're met, or how they're, you know, created.
So we have the budget that we have to spread out over 5 days. Okay. And one of the goals that we try to work with is we're going to plan to give every one of our shows or every one of our venues one of those nights to where we can spend a certain amount of money that's going to give them the best show that night. Mm-hmm. The way that we try to do it is just to take almost kind of quarter it out, or just kind of like, all right, we're going to break this, break this. In my idea, we try to kind of put it in like, if this ticket was going to cost $10 to $15 or maybe $10 to $20, somewhere in that range, and our venue capacity that we're using is also in that 250 person range, somewhere around there. Yeah. Then what would that sellable capacity be at that kind of deal? And then what would normally be the deal that we would work out with a touring act for just a normal show? Okay. And so I try to take that, what would probably be my offer for a touring act, and kind of relegate it to that. Okay. And so this is going to be our ballpark for this show and this place and this venue.
Seems like it's a lot of like experience too, of just okay, here's what we can get here, here's what we can do here, and now we can combine that all. Cool. That was kind of a personal question from my point too. You know, it's one of those things that I've always wondered, because there's bands that I love and I'll approach them. They're like, oh yeah, our budget's $500. I'm like, oh man, like, okay, so how do I make sure that not only is my band going to get paid, but how can I guarantee the venue that that we're gonna draw enough people to cover that 500? You know, because I get it. If there's like 7 people in a band, you know, these people want to do this, that, and the other. You want to make sure everybody's getting there. But that was kind of a personal question for me, is how to kind of go about that. As I get older, that's something that I'm more interested in and curious about. And as I've gotten more connections, I want to help other people out too, who are younger than me, and be like, oh hey, I can help you this, or I can put you here. You know, and so how to appropriately ask or go about that kind of budget thing is one thing that I'm kind of navigating very, very carefully right now.
It is very much a thing that I love, the fact that we don't have to necessarily deal with. And I am very guilty of this in the very beginning, and now too, I'm not going to lie. In the very beginning, one of the things that I really wanted to try to do was, with the budget that we have, was entice bands to come in and play in these smaller venues that you wouldn't be able to see at smaller venues anymore. Bands that, for the most part, are going to be playing at Trees or Granada and larger, and have us at Thin Line be able to pay more money for the viewer to have a more intimate experience and see something in a smaller venue.
Now, I'm trying so hard. Laserbeak.
Yeah.
You guys had Laserbeak last year.
Shredders last year, yeah.
Shredders. Yeah, that's what it was called. It was Shredders. So it was Laserbeak, POS, and Sims. Yeah. That show was awesome.
Yeah, they're incredible.
Because you were telling me, like, yeah, you should check that one out. My buddy Ethan from Biographies, he was like, I'm going, come with. And I was like, absolutely, and so I went, and it was awesome, man. Even afterwards, getting to talk to their DJ and a couple of the other guys, they were, super nice guys. And that's what's so fun about these kind of festivals, too, that come to this town, is you get to meet these guys who you've only seen on YouTube before,
or they also have a history in Denton. I mean, those guys, they're different especially out of that collective, they'd played at Rubber Gloves before, they played at Haley's before, like they know Denton, and they're familiar. When I met them that night over at the Green Room, they were immediately talking to like, what happened to this place? What happened to this place? Is this place to go get pizza still?
Yeah. When I saw like that POS and Astronautilus had worked together. Astronautilus was the first show I ever got grounded for going to, because I drove up here to go see Haley's, and this is back when we had to look at MapQuest. Me and all my buddies are driving. I was the only one who could drive at the time, and we drove up here and we're looking for Haley's. And us, man, we're kids who grew up in the burbs, and so we're used to going to the Bronco Bowl when that place was open, and you'd see big signs for these venues. That's what we expected. We're driving around looking for Haley's. We had no clue where this place. We couldn't find it anyway. And then the one-way streets, we're like, where are we? So we went to J&J's, and that's how we found it. And I remember we walked in, we were, totally out of our league, man. Like I said, we were kids from the burbs and very white-collar-esque, and I remember It was Astronauts and a guy named who went by Bluebird.
Oh,
at
absolutely.
the time. Yeah, Bluebird. And I remember my friends, it was like 11, and my friends were like, dude, we're going to get grounded. And I was like, I don't care. Like, we're already here.
Yep.
I was like, if we all get grounded, we weren't going to be able to hang out anyways. All right. So I remember I didn't get home till like 1 or 1:15, because the show, and I bought a shirt, and I still have that shirt
that's awesome.
from that. And it's a shirt from Astronauts that says, like, I'm full of good ideas. But, that's such a memory for me, and I brought that up to POS. I was like, dude, I've always been a huge fan of you, and Astronautalist made a song called Story of My Life, and I walked around Burlington, Vermont after getting dumped listening to that song, and it helped me through such a hard time.
Awesome,
and he was like, dude, that's great, so appreciate you bringing those dudes out. That was such a cool experience, man. But
it was really neat.
Those were the guys who I was excited to see, and so now this year, when is the festival going to begin?
We start on Wednesday, April 10th.
Wednesday, April 10th.
Nice. And we'll kick it off. Also, we'll have films are also going on at that time. But that same night after the film wraps up, then we'll have our first over at Dance Silverleaf.
Nice. Okay.
With the great Trees Marie. And Summer Dean out of Fort Worth, who's been blowing up and winning awards around Dallas Observer or around Dallas and Fort Worth.
That's when I played Trees, those headliners, this guy said the industry doesn't sleep on a state any more than Texas. He was like, I know that you guys there's a lot of talent here that a lot of the music industry misses.
Oh, yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're like, wait a minute, Texas is, whoa, what's going on down here? And then they discover it. So what are some of the other groups that you're excited to be bringing this year?
Oh, man, where to start? So we'll say Saturday also at Dan Silverleaf, I have a Americana showcase going on over there that will start with Marathons and Unicorns, which is Eric Nicholson from Midlake and the Elk River guys and all that. They some of their kids together. They have this little family band that starts it off, and then that'll lead into the great Isaac Hoskins, and then one of also our crossovers. We have a guy named Bill Hearn out of New Mexico, and this guy is, I want to say, in his upper 70s, early 80s, somewhere around there, and first got to start playing in the 60s down in Austin, playing with the old greats like Willie and Merle and all these guys.
The name sounds familiar, but I want to say it's just a name that sounds familiar for some reason.
Still, toured Lyle Lovett, like all these people. Like, the dude's been
the big names. Yep.
Dude has been doing it for a long, long time, and he has a documentary that's being featured up here. And so after the documentary airs, then we're gonna go ahead and put him on stage. And
nice.
He's a really, really nice man. I've had numerous conversations with him. It's like your sweet grandpa that is like, well, I'm going to be in Dallas and I can't wait to play for you. It's going to be great. So we're really excited to have him in town. And then immediately after that is a band called Vandaliers. That are an incredible live act. They're one of the Bloodshot Records' new signees in the last year. They just had fantastic write-ups by Rolling Stone magazine about their performances at South by Southwest. I want to say they played 8 or 9 shows in the week. Like, it was a lot.
Did you say the Mandoliers?
Vandaliers.
Okay, Vandaliers. Okay, I was like, they must play mandolins. But
no. Vandaliers.
The Vandaliers.
Texas country cow, or not Texas country, kind of country cowpunk.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's something else.
Absolutely.
See, that's what I mean, man. I'm like, okay, I have no idea what that is, so I got to go check it out now.
Yeah. So, I mean, good. I mean, you would definitely be able to find the country tendencies in it, but there's also that kind of punk rock snarl and kind of upbeat to it. It's fantastic.
I like that.
And then that will culminate with the great Erica Winterstrom from the Heartless Bastards. All of this is all on the same show over at Dan's on Saturday.
Nice.
One of my personal favorites that I'm looking forward to is a heavier show with a band over at Andy's called Whores out of Atlanta.
Okay.
And this band is by far one of the best live acts I've seen in probably the last decade of my life. I've seen them play with bands like Red Fang and The Sword. They're playing at Roskilde Festival this summer with Bob Dylan. And, mean, it's a huge, huge thing.
That's awesome.
There's something to be seen. They're playing at Andy's on Friday the 12th with Mountain of Smoke and Duel out of Fort Worth let's see. Also on Friday, the Great Desi 5.
Yep.
Desi 5 is going to be over at
Yeah.
Harvest House doing it again.
Desi 5 is great.
If you haven't seen it, it's a great booty shaking, good time.
Oh, yeah.
Go
I've hung out
dance.
with them many times
Oh, it's
for
so great.
many different events.
Yeah, Desi, Lorelei K, Moniker, all on that lineup over there.
Very nice. All three great acts that I've personally either worked with or witnessed.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. We'll have a Thursday. Also, we'll have Cosmico and Claire Morales over at Dan's. Let's see what else. Saturday, we'll expand over to include everything to where like all the venues will be going. So we'll have J&J's, Andy's, Harvest House, Dan Silverleaf, Sweetwater, Mulberry Street Cantina.
Nice. So Sweetwater and Mulberry will be
Yep.
will be
We'll be doing
turned
our
into the-
jazz showcase at Sweetwater out there on the
Nice.
patio, and then
Oh,
our
beautiful.
singer songwriter showcase will be over at Mulberry Street Cantina.
Okay, sweet. And if this weather stays around, then goodness gracious.
Oh man, I
that'll
hope. Knock on wood.
be- Yeah, exactly. I don't know if this is, whatever this is, particle board, but it works.
Yep.
It came from a tree, so we'll be just fine.
And that kind of leads us up to one of the things that we're most excited about with Thin Line is the fact that we're going to be the first for Rubber Gloves Rehearsal Studio sneak preview.
Wow. Okay.
And so their plan, from what I understand, is not truly to open up for full till the summer. But
Okay.
they're going to be good to go and ready for us. They've got liquor license and everything squared. So
Wow.
we'll have full lineups for them on Friday and Saturday night. So if you've heard rumors or anything like that, I've been in it and I've walked through it. It looks incredible in there. It's like, I don't know, it's like Rubber Gloves went to college and got a job. Like it's great. Like there's like separate bathrooms and it's tiled. It looks glorious.
That's awesome, man.
But the best part about it is the venue room. And the venue room looks almost identical. The stage was completely rebuilt, but it's the same dimensions. The sound system's going to be completely updated. It's just everything looks fantastic.
Mm-hmm. And I played there one time, and I had a buddy whose mom knew a guy who knew. I don't even know how, but I played there, and I tell you, the sound. I remember it was just boom, just the way it was booming in that room, and the way that stage rumbled. I had a blast playing there. It was a lot of fun. I think the sound guy was a little confused at like what we were doing because it was like me with a computer, but I was trying for once to do a live band with all the music, and so I had a bunch of guy on saxophone, I had a guy with like a bunch of random, percussions, but that place was fun, and I played there twice, but I'm very excited. That's the first time I've heard anything about this.
Yeah, it's a brand new thing that we're really, really excited to
awesome,
let everybody
man.
know.
So yeah,
so you'll be able to go around to all these places for free. All you have to do is register.
Okay.
Just go online to www.thinline.us and go to registration. You can do it all for free, and you'll be able to go and enjoy all these places like the sneak preview for Rubber Gloves. So we'll have the great NIT Night out of Dallas and Felton Fur over there on Friday night, and then Saturday we'll have one of the best punk rock bands going around in DFW, Upsetting, and a really, really good act out of Austin called Go Fever that I'm also really excited to bring up to Denton for the festival.
It's just so much music out there, man. That I was just having dinner with my dad yesterday, and he was like, I've got millions of songs in the palm of my hand right here, and artists and stuff. He was like, it's incredible the people that I come across now that I can, that I never would have heard of, and now you've got Spotify and SoundCloud and iTunes and so many different things to put that music on. I love that, and that's how Thin Line feels for me. It's just like it's like I'm seeing the physical manifestation of all of those playlists or everything kind of brought into a town. And it's a super fun weekend too. I remember going to my first year up here. When Octopia was still happening. I remember being like, "What? This is incredible! Like this is happening here." And then Thin Line and all the other, and 35 was still happening, and it was wild to me. I was like, "This is crazy that a town, you call it a town, not necessarily a city. It's like either the smallest city or the biggest town you can be in.
Right.
Is bringing all this talent and so many good groups of people here." And, it's just super fun time. So you said that you go on you can register for free?
Yep, absolutely.
And so you just go, is it thinlinefest.com? Or?
The thinline.us.
Thinline.us.
Yep.
Very, very nice. And is it like a name, or do you get a wristband, or is it like people walk in, your name's on a list, or you get tickets? Like,
in essence, yeah. It,
Okay.
won't be a physical thing. Like, you'll have your registration and you'll get
Okay.
a wristband in the venues and all
Okay.
that. We'll have our reps everywhere to be able to sign you in no matter where you go. But there'll be centralized
cool.
registration at a bunch of different places.
and if people want to, it's probably too late to volunteer now, or maybe it's not.
Oh,
but-
absolutely. We have you can also go in and sign up to volunteer on
Okay.
through the website as well.
Okay, very, very cool. And so you said that was thinline.us.
Correct.
All right, cool. So people can volunteer. Do you get like a T-shirt? Does it come with a T-shirt?
I believe, don't catch me in a lie, but
right.
I want to say that's the
All
that's
right.
the thing for sure.
I'm going to tell you, you might get a T-shirt. So if
It
you
does
don't,
it does
you
the
can-
breakdown on the website. Like,
Okay.
I remember seeing that. I just can't remember.
That's all right. Awesome, man. Very, very cool. Very cool. So, you've got Desi. You've got with all of this different music. Do you ever have time to go and catch all the acts that you want to see?
Most of the time, it kind of no, never, never. Most of the time, I have the ability to catch and sit in one place or stand in one place for a minute, and that's normally at the very end of the night when we're getting ready to do settlements and all of that stuff. So probably the way that we do the scheduling is that very last show I get to see the most of for
Okay.
every night.
Very nice.
So with the exception of Sunday. Our only venue is Harvest House, much like last year when we did mariachi.
Yep.
That'll be able to be there the whole day and see everything that happens.
See all that stuff.
Absolutely.
So are you on the walkie-talkie quite a bit? And what,
Yeah.
what are some of the things over the years doing this that you've kind of learned to prep for? Or almost like determined that no matter how hard we try, this is probably going to happen.
Loss of power for iPads.
Yep.
Someone's not going to have their band registration where it's supposed to be at the time it's supposed to be there. But I mean, it's always something.
Yeah.
It's always something.
So how do you work through that stuff? How do you work? If a band isn't registered right, play. What do you guys do? Just
contingencies? We just have the ability to get together quickly, and it's like, oh, here's this. That's again one of the great parts about the volunteers that we have that help us out. They all sacrifice a lot for the for the week that that goes on.
It's a sweaty time, man.
It's nuts.
It can be.
It's nuts, and it's not just people running around venues. It's people that are going to the airport to pick up people and take them to their hotels, and then once they the minute sometimes they finish and get off stage, then they're packed up and they're back to the airport and gone. Just
ready for going to another show. And one question I have for you: did you ever do any touring yourself in a band, or did you play, or did you?
I definitely played in bands. That's how I kind of got started in all this. Years and years ago, I started college in Colorado, and then I'm from Denton, but I started college in Colorado, and then came back because really and truly I missed Denton and I missed North Texas music.
Yeah.
I went to a place where there was really and truly none of that.
Okay.
That did not exist.
Yeah.
And so when I came back, I met a group of people that were all pretty like-minded and same general music taste and all that stuff. We started playing music for a little while, and then once that ended, there was a weird flux in shows that were going on in Denton and DFW for that matter. But at the time, I just didn't see a lot of the music that I really liked coming to the area. It would go to Austin, it would go to Houston and San Antonio, but for a small amount of time, it just wasn't coming to Denton or DFW or Dallas. And so I started putting together some of these shows, and back then it was like kind of the very, very beginning stages of when MySpace had come out. And so one of the things you were able to do that was really unique at the time was to kind of search by zip code, like to different areas. So I bet I could probably get bands to come to town that are within this mile radius and not have to pay them crazy exorbitant amounts of money. I could probably, what's a tank of gas cost to get from there to here and all that stuff. And so that kind of helped me pitch, to shows to these artists. And that's initially how I first got started doing that. Like one of the first ones that we did for Rubber Gloves, this was 2006, was a band out of Austin called The Sword. And
The Sword.
They ended up becoming, a very, very substantial, rock and metal act. And, and then it just kind of snowballed from there. I started back then. We were called Denton Hardcore Society, and then after some of these bands that we were working with for so long all started to kind of get signed and picked up to major labels and big booking agencies, and so they started to send me shows that weren't punk rock or metal or something like that, and started to send me Americana and hip hop and that kind of deal. And so I changed it from the Denton Hardcore Society to DHS Entertainment, which is a little bit, more easier for hip hop acts. And everybody was like, thanks to Denton Hardcore Society for bringing us, Rocky Votolato or something like very, very different, not hardcore at all.
And so how, like, one thing that I experienced running sound was being opened up to all that new music. Do you feel like, as you start to book, you gain a new appreciation for different types, or was it kind of something there where it was always there for you? You appreciated country or hip hop or this or that at all times, just drawn a little bit more to different genres?
I think it's definitely opened me up to a wider, vaster amount of music for sure. I was pretty narrow-minded when it came to like the music that I liked when I was quite a bit younger, when I was in my early 20s, and then just kind of being exposed to all the different types of music that this community in Denton has to offer is what really kind of broadened that out. Being able to go from one show that's strictly a punk rock show, and around the corner walk into the patio at Sweetwater where they have jazz on the patio and see incredible musicians. That'll open it up real quick.
Now, one thing I wonder is because when I see I've gone and I've seen some hardcore shows, not a lot, but I've seen some of them. What's up, Brent? And I watch these guys play, and I think that sometimes the hardcore guys get a bad rap, because there's, to the layman who might be watching, they don't understand truly what's going on here as the guy's going up and down, or the guys on the, the double bass, just going after
Absolutely.
it. Have you ever seen those kind of guys, like, or do any of those hardcore guys translate from a jazz background or anything of that sort, or do we find that it's more of just they learn via kind of, I guess what I'm trying to say is, do these guys come from a classical background at times?
I think a lot of them for sure have that in them. Whether they technically come from it, I'm not 100% sure. I'll give you an example. One of the neater crossovers that we discovered here in like the last year of working different events and different things was when we took the group up to Missouri to work on an album. We stuck Andrew Austin from Rod of Obsidian and Leon Carlo in a band together.
Oh, wow.
And so watching the two of them try to work out from very different backgrounds, but still a love of music, to see them together to work out parts for the songs that they were creating there that weekend, to translate to now, like, I believe Leon Carlo is a full member of Rod of Obsidian now.
Nice.
To where, like, he'll absolutely play his classical violin pieces with the Rod of Obsidian music, and it's impressive.
That's awesome, man. And I remember when I was kind of in high school, there was a band, I can't remember who they are, but there were cellos like involved in this metal group in a way, and I was like, whoa, I've never seen this before. But in a way, when I would watch certain metal music videos, when you still saw me, they were theatrical and stuff, and they told stories.
Absolutely.
Even though I might not be able to necessarily understand, the more friends I had who listened to that type of music, the more I gained an appreciation for it. And some of the first stuff that I ever listened to where I thought I was hardcore was like Amon Amarth and things of that nature. And I was like, man, this is really cool. And then I started to gain an appreciation for some of the, not only the energy that it can create, but then some of the melodic breakdowns and stuff. I was like, man, these guys, it's the only reason they're getting a bad rap is because the person who's saying that is just unaware, unaware that just because they chose that music and you view it as not as talented as the guy playing some other type, does not mean that guy can't get in a room with that other person and, create something great. Like you were saying with Leon Carlo and those difference in styles, So the one thing that I never had listened to before was math rock. I had never listened to math rock before, and then all of a sudden at when I started helping out at Backyard just to make some extra cash running sound and wanting to just learn how to run it, that's when all of a sudden I was like, I've liked math rock for a long time. I just never realized it. I didn't know what it was called, and then being exposed to all those different types of music definitely opened me up to so many new types of shows and friendships too.
Oh yeah.
You know, and then all of a sudden you've got, you know, metal kids showing up to hip hop shows and hip hop kids showing up to metal shows, and then they're all working together. And next thing you know, you got the crossover acts that are happening, and it's just it's great to see, man. So.
Well, it is great to see. For a while back when I was still young, when you know, before all of the kind of culture and venues and everything came to downtown, is back when it was all still over next to University, closer to Fry Street.
Okay.
Old venues like the Argo and Rick's Place. You know, back then, you'd see all these artists and these great musicians that came out, and I mean, like Baptist Generals would be playing like next to the Zebrahead shop, like in the like driveway behind Copy Pro. Like, I mean, it was really, really unique. But everybody back then, if you were in the scene, if you were working, like if you were playing shows and all that, you just went. You did, like, if you weren't playing that night, you just went to go see people play. You just, it was a really, really unique community that way, to where, hey, it's Thursday, who's up? Oh yeah, let's go on over and see what happens. And it seems very much like that now again, to where you have that camaraderie with the musical community in town, to where everybody wants to be and wants to see and wants to support everybody else.
Yeah, I think you're right. You know, and that's what's so great, is that you can just, you know, get on your phone and go, all right, who's playing tonight? And most likely you're going to have a friend who's like, hey, I'm playing tonight. Come check me out at Harvest House or Andy's or this or that. And so it's like, oh, hey, Moniker's playing down at Harvest House. Let's go check them out. Or, hey, Pudge is up at Andy's. Let's go there. Oh, hey, I don't even know what's going on in the basement at D&J's, but it sounds like something wild, so I'm going to go check that out too. And you know, a few years ago, I think it was like 2 years ago. Was it 2 years ago when they had that big meeting where everybody kind of came together and talked about music, like in the town?
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know, and it seems like people were a little worried, but
Denton took a hit really, really quickly, and over the course of a year, there's some loss in venues and places that were, you know, vessels and facilitators for people to be able to express themselves, and all of a sudden, like, for people that are not necessarily able to perform their art on places like, you know, LSA or whatnot, that that won't let them because of the style of their art. Then all of a sudden that went away, and that was concerning for sure.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So when J&J's came back, you know, the basement, that was the first place that I ever had my own thing that I booked and all that stuff was in J&J. So it had, you know, it was right here for me. I was like, oh man, this is a place where if you're 16, you're 15, 14, you can come and play a show here. You can be, you know, 35, and you can want to just, you know, turn cassettes backwards really loud, and you can come express yourself that way. You know, there's all kind, you know, so I understand what you mean, where having that place for people to go and express themselves, you know, and you know, there's a couple places even around town. I drove past the Lab the other day, you know, which has been turned, you know, and so one of the things I was like, you know, there were a lot of people who loved that place and called that place home, and I always wanted, like, you know, I have my places that I go. So where would I go if that closed down? What would I do? You know, where, you know, and you hope that other places are either going to reopen or pop back up. So now with Rubber Gloves going to be doing their thing again, and then J&J's is back open again. I mean, so many, that's just going to open up an avenue for so many people to be able to express themselves and really showcase their art.
The potential that we're looking at in the next upcoming year to year and a half is really quite impressive, with the turnaround of, like, the loss of venues to what we're fixing to have. I mean, we're really not that far away from the Fine Arts Theater being completed to whatever that will be. I know the Texas Theater, the Texas Theater Group are really, really, we're excited to have them up here. The potential for that with guys like Martin Isles, you know, kind of steering the ship with that creative direction is really exciting. Not just with Rubber Gloves coming back, but there's some, you know, there's always rumors about more and more stuff coming, which I like.
Yeah, exactly. You know, there's, I've kind of got a whisper of what's going on down at that big space now, so I'm excited to see what happens, what goes on down there. I've had a few voices in my ears. But
it sounds interesting.
Yeah, I know. That's what I said, and they told me, I was like, hey, man, I'm always open to the new experiences. Like, let's see what it's like. Let's have fun and, bring in something that's positive for the community, positive for the art that people like to express themselves here, whether it's metal, hip hop, country, rock, jazz, blues, soul, whatever you're doing.
And I want to put shows in these places.
Yeah.
Like that's what I want more than anything. That's what I'm here now.
That's what I mean, man. As I've gotten older, I find myself, I've always liked helping people anyways, but as I get older and kids will send me emails and stuff, hey, and we had a kid who played at the Breakfast and Beats that we do on Sundays at Backyard, and he's so nervous. He was like, man, I was like, hey, dude, this is just like playing a set on your couch at home. That's what you're doing here. This is a great place to cut your chops. And then afterwards, I was like, hey, here's your check. And he's like, wait, I got paid? I was like, yeah, you get paid. I was like, oh, nobody told you? And he's like, no, I had no idea. And I was like, well, there you go, man. You just made your first check. Don't frame it, cash it. All right? Put maybe one of those dollar bills in there.
Exactly.
But I know what you mean. It's fun. That's one of those things where making music is fun, but then also watching that smile on other people's face when they're
100%.
able to express themselves is so rewarding in itself too. It's something incredible that I love. So, what are some things that maybe I've missed tonight that maybe you'd like to cover?
Last year when we did this, I had Isabel and Dallas with me to keep me on track. So let me just make sure that I'm not missing something. We touched on, I think every day. Sunday, the closeout will be over at Harvest House.
Okay.
And we'll start with Honan, we were talking about earlier.
Yes.
And then that'll lead into one of my favorite acts out of Dallas called the Bastards of Soul.
Okay.
Which is an old traditional soul review with some great players in the band. Then that will lead into the great Quentin Gray project.
Okay.
Who's phenomenal. And then the closeout will be Houston hip hop artist Fat Tony.
Okay.
Nice. He's on Vice and all these. We're excited for that to be the culmination of the fest.
Yeah. Well, just like last year, as soon as I'm done on Sundays, I'll be walking right over there again to enjoy it. I remember when I interviewed Carly Reese on the show, we had her come on and do a live performance. I saw her play, and I was like, hey, I'd love to have you on. And to this day, it's still the most viewed video that I've ever had of a live performance. It's got like 12,000 views or something like that.
Awesome.
And I knew as soon as I saw her, when she was first getting on stage with Southpaw Preachers and other people, I was like, it's gonna be fine. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Just stay at it, stay positive. And I've yet to catch her as Honan yet. I want to, and it's always one of those things where I can't make it that night. But I'm gonna be at the Horace and Leon Carlo and her show that's going to be going on at Dan Silverleaf coming up here very soon.
It's going to be cool.
So,
we've been lucky throughout the years for a lot of these artists that have been able to play our stages that have continued on and done really, really neat things. Kayla Sinclair from she's
Tomcat,
phenomenal.
Was she in?
No, that's Katrina Kane.
Oh, that's my bad. Yeah,
Kayla's M83 and currently I think out on tour in Europe with Troy Sivian. I always mess up his name.
That is my bad. I apologize for mixing up those names. So, well, man, that's awesome. Thanks again for coming on to the show,
Absolutely,
man.
my
I
pleasure.
appreciate it. I feel like that was like the fastest 45 minutes that I've had in a long time, man.
No,
but,
my pleasure.
No, that was a lot of fun. So April 10th is when we're starting.
April 10th to the 14th.
All right. And then go online to thinline.us.
Yep, absolutely.
And that's where you can get, your way into the shows, or you can volunteer if you'd like to. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, the man with the plan, Brian Denny, right here. Thanks again, my man.
Thank you so much.
Being on. Maybe stop by Armadillo and say what's up.
Yeah, come over and get a beer.
Yeah, exactly. He's a friendly guy back there. So, man, let's see. We've got we got Joe Higg coming on the show next week, y'all. He's got some new music that he's been working on, and it is fantastic. So, y'all stick around right here on DentonRadio.com. We got Ellie Bell and the Denton Vibe up next, and maybe head over to that thinline.us and grab those tickets right now. We will see y'all next time right here on DentonRadio.com. Peace.
Well, thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show. Be sure to check out DentonRadio.com for new Denton artists and where they're playing next. While you're surfing the internet, make sure you check out our friends Classic of Denton at ClassicofDenton.com.